Hallo, assalamu alaikum, good morning, khushamdeed, ji ayanu, goeiemorgen.
Pacheiragele, ni hao, june shumme, washmale, ohaya gozaimasu, guten morgen, hola, bonjour, privyet, kaifa hal, hale shuma chatore, ahlan wasahlan, marhaba, buna, mucho, gracias, swabia, and a very amazing good morning to everybody who's tuned into PTV World and are watching World this morning on a very sunny Monday over here in Islamabad, ladies and gentlemen. Alongside me, I have the very amazing, the very pretty, the very talented Shiza Hashmi and Shahzad Khan. Hello Shiza, how are you doing today?
Thank you so much. I'm doing absolutely great. What about you? While I know you hate the question being asked back again, so
Yeah.
I'll change my question.
Yeah.
How was your weekend?
Well, my weekend was fine. It was superb, and I think that I got a lot of time to spend with my kids and my family and everybody else as well. Because every Sunday we have a brunch at our place as well, where all my sisters, brother-in-laws, kids, everybody comes and we do a get-together, and then we eat together as well. So I think that that's the kind of message which I wanted to give today as well.
Okay.
And ladies and gentlemen, to be very honest, I think that, since the world's becoming more materialistic, people are not respecting the relationships they have with their loved ones as well, or not giving them much time. And I think that, when, because, this is a saying which is in Urdu,
Okay.
and this is something which my mom says as well, that जब जो बुजुर्ग आपको सिखाएंगे वही आप आगे करेंगे. So it's I think in literal meaning it is like whatever you learn from your elders, that's what you're going to do. So I think that our parents have invested a lot in making sure that the brothers and sisters, they sit together and they eat together, and I think that resolves quite a lot of problems, may it be in the family or may it be outside the family as well. So ladies and gentlemen, please make sure that you take out time for your loved ones. It's not necessary that you do it every day or every Sunday just because we do it as well. But whenever you get time, please make sure that you sit down with your loved ones and talk to them.
And I think that is a beautiful message
Oh,
to
thank
start
you.
your day, an entire week with actually.
Yes.
Because ladies and gentlemen, towards the end of the day, you will actually realize this in so many spheres of life. Whatever you're going through, the only people to stand by you are going to be your family, your blood relations. And that is true. They will never judge you, Shahzad, first of all. Whatever you go through, whatever you do, they will never judge you. They will always stand by you without, of course, any sort of hatred towards you or any sort of prejudice as well. And that is why you can trust them too. But I have a question for you
Yeah, go ahead.
before you say anything else.
Go ahead.
So you have nieces and nephews of all ages, mashallah,
Yes,
mashallah. And you are way too friendly with them. So what I want to ask is, do you feel like you should actually have that sort of right balance being in the parental position with your nieces and nephews or your own children to actually, be a part of their life as well?
Well, I think that's a fabulous question, and everybody needs to understand it. Ladies and gentlemen, so may it be whether you're a mamu or you're a chachu or whoever you are, I think that your job is to just give love and affection to all of those kids who are around you. Because, their mom and dad are actually going to do the perfect job of being their parents, probably scolding them and whatnot. So if once a week they're going to come to your place and, they'll be talking to you, I think that you really need to give them that space, give them that freedom where they can actually talk about everything which they cannot talk about with their parents. So for that, yes, at times I feel as if they've taken me for granted too as well, because I'm too relaxed, I'm too lenient, and they do not listen to me at all. So I'm just calling out, oh, come on, come over here. They just do not bother about it. But then at the same time, whenever there's a kid who's actually disturbed, will always come up to me and he'll be, or she'll be like, that, Mamu, this is something which happened, and I'll be like, okay, we can have a resolve. And then I think that the mamus or the chachu's job is to tell their parents that probably you need to change the way you're treating your kids as of now so that they feel great. But other than that, there was this one more thing which I wanted to say, Shiza, and that is that whenever we talk about relationships, whenever we talk about being with people whom you love a lot, ladies and gentlemen, at the same time, you really need to have that space within your own self as well, where you can detach yourself for a while if something's disturbing you. It's not really necessary that you go to them and you say it on their faces. I think that all of those harsh words will have an impact, so please make sure that you don't do that. But one question which I wanted to ask you, and I was scolded quite a lot yesterday by my father for that, and I know that it is very disturbing and embarrassing as well.
All right.
So since I'm set to go to a few different countries in the next month,
Inshallah.
so what I did was that all of my sisters, they want me to get something for them. So they've ordered it already.
Okay.
It's in our
You
Indian
have to
home.
bring it back.
And I have to bring it back. So I was like that, whoever is going to get me something as well, I will get their stuff to Pakistan. And then my father was there, and then he was like, "Ab tum behnon se bhi cheezein mangoge." So, it kind of hit me as well, and I was like, what's so wrong in it? Do you think that it's wrong? I think it's wrong.
I think, okay, now here's the thing. I feel like from listening to your story, you did it on a lighter note. It was out of a joke or something. And I think that's totally all right because it's your siblings after all, they're going to understand this.
But what if it wasn't out of, joke or anything?
And if you really meant it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like you should do someone a favor if you have the ability to, because I don't know, God gave you the ability to be of help to someone. Just do it.
No, I don't need any help. It's all right. I think my father did the right thing.
Yeah, that's amazing. But here's the thing, Shazad, I'm going to take you back to what you said probably a minute ago. You said like a lot of kids happen to come to you, family kids as well, when they're disturbed or something. That's very good for them. They're lucky enough to have you or any, such figure in their life. But unfortunately, a lot of students, like a lot of them, going to schools, universities, college, or even not going to any institution, going to work even, they happen to face certain things that they cannot talk about to anyone, let alone their parents, to anyone. Because sometimes you're really reserved and sometimes you're really uptight about things. You really don't feel like sharing it with anyone. So what can one do in that situation, especially when you do not have any sort of counseling centers in your institutions?
Thank you very much for saying that. And Shiza, I can totally relate to it because I wasn't a very bright student when I was going to school. So imagine that the total strength of my, the children in my class was probably 32 and the position I would get was 28th, 29th or probably 27th. Or if, all of these people were absent, I will actually jump to 7th or 8th as well. But I was a very horrible student and I think that it wasn't my fault at all. Because whatever the teachers were teaching, I couldn't understand a word. I still do not know what they're teaching. So I think that the only story I remember was from Sally, or the Red Apple story, or I don't know whether you've heard that or read that or not as well. But I thought, now I think that, if there was a counseling center where I could go, or probably if I would have been open with my parents and told them that I cannot understand, or which I think that I've even mentioned to my parents that mujhe to samajh hi nahi aati, and then they're like, tum bewakoof ho, this and that and whatnot. But yes, that can happen to a lot of kids, and I think that Amir Khan did a great job across the border in making parents understand by making a film, and I think that a lot of things need to be done in this perspective. But then at the same time, ladies and gentlemen, what should we really do? How do we counsel all of those kids who are actually having problems within class understanding? And this is for all of those other kids who go to school, but what about kids who are autistic? What about all of those kids who have different kind of problems as well? So what do we actually have to do?
Right. And Shazad, you said the issues that they face during class times. While that is one of the aspects to it, a lot of students unfortunately happen to hail from a family that is probably not happily functioning or perfectly functioning, or broken families sort of. And that is a trauma that stays with you not only in the childhood years but throughout your life as well. That will definitely shape your behavior as well in class and how you deal with your peers too. So there are so many things one can carry to their classroom. We don't know where they're coming from. So for that, I feel like we need a professional to deal with that kind of attitude, to deal with that kind of situation going on with the student. And I really hope at least 90% of the institutions come up with or agree with establishing such centers within their premises as
Exactly. But don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, it's not just two of us on the show today. We have some very apt guests over here with us who are actually going to talk about it. They're experts in this field. And for all of those parents who are out there, please listen to them carefully, because whatever we try to share with all of you, we always think before doing it, and then we always keep your interest in the first place as well. We keep it in sight, and we want to make sure that everybody out there is just doing fabulously fine as well. And for all of those people who are going to pray today, please pray for us too as well. So ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, I think she's the master. Whenever we have had her on the show, I think the feedback has been very positive. She's a psychologist herself. She's none other than Dr. Aiza Abid Yazdani. Hello, Assalamu Alaikum. How are you?
Walaikum salam. I'm great, and thank you for that wonderful introduction. I think there's hardly anything left for me to say.
That's so sweet of you.
Thank you very much for making us very happy early in the morning. But ladies and gentlemen, as we move on, and when she's going to dig into this problem as well, I think that a lot of other things are going to come out. But not just that, ladies and gentlemen, obviously not everybody's blessed with, I don't know whether I should say it or not, but not everyone's blessed with healthy and wealthy kids as well. But ladies and gentlemen, there are kids who might have a little of problem understanding, and it's just because of the fact that they were born like that. And I think that everybody needs to have that acceptance within their heart as well. So for all of those parents who have difficulty making their kids understand, for example, if I am to refer to autism, ladies and gentlemen, we have an expert on that too as well. And what solutions do we have for them? How can we teach them? How can we make them learn? We have an expert about that. Ladies and gentlemen, she's none other than Ms. Jawahar Alvi. She's a behavior analyst and the director for BASIS as well. Hello, Assalamu Alaikum. How are you? Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on the show.
No
It's
problem.
a pleasure to be here.
No problem.
pleasure,
It's our pleasure as well. So let's get started. So, Ms. Aiza, we've given a lot of introduction about the very topic as well. But let's get to the core of it. How do you think that we'll make people understand that what is actually assessment for counseling and education?
Okay, so like you said, children are born with different abilities and capabilities, and as they grow up and from the home onwards, and then they enter play school or schooling system, they sometimes may be doing as well as their peers, but sometimes they are, and usually there's something or the other. So if the family is supportive, mother, father, they pick up the things at the beginning, and they create an environment in which all these little issues are handled.
Yeah.
Then they go in the school, and if the teacher is capable and trained enough, then they can also deal with those issues, and the child is well on his or her way to a good and happy future productive life. But mostly what happens is that we tend to miss out on so many things, and we take them for granted, and we are in a particular frame of mind. Oh no, this child is moody, this child is lazy, or sometimes just it's our love. It's our love which makes us do so many things and compensate for the behaviors that we don't realize that the child is in difficulty. So a lot of time these little children, they just stumble through life, and then if parents are too strong or dominating, or environment is harsh, the child has actually no representation in life. He's not being helped out, and he's just not there. So he's struggling under a very strong system then. So what happens? Usually in Pakistan, we tend to take things for granted, and we all are perfect, and we are superhuman beings.
Brush it under the carpet.
Yes,
Let's
we
not
brush
talk about it.
Yeah. And then the teachers say, oh no, just be strict, for a lot of reasons. And so until the child is finally stumbling in grades, and that can be at any level. You know, very interestingly, I have been working with children 3, 4, 5 class. Just recently, I have started working with O-level students who have failed, who are just not able to do their A-levels. So finally I said, okay, let me do an assessment. And the parents were like, no, doesn't need an assessment. So but I did that, and you find little issues in IQ, little differences or in learning, just a little difference between your English and math ability, that can really affect your ability for sciences. So basically assessment at any stage is recommended, and if it's not been understood earlier on, no harm in understanding yourself at any stage of life.
Right, there's no certain time for learning of what you are or who you are. But Jawahar, moving on to you are now, mashallah, a behavioral analyst. I want you to, we know though, but I want you to tell everyone out there what you do specifically and how you are contributing to Pakistan as well.
Okay, so I am a board certified behavior analyst, a BCBA. I am certified by the American board, and a couple of days ago I was also certified by the International Board of Behavior Analysis. And I've been in the field for almost 20 years. And I moved to the United States in 2000 in Chicago. And I've been working there in the field of special education, not as in the capacity of a behavior analyst, but in the capacity of a special educator, an early childhood educator in EI. And I worked there with young kids in fostered system, kids that were adopted, kids that had come from the very low socioeconomic backgrounds, and they were coming in with different disabilities, and that's where I developed my passion. And people keep on coming and asking me about how did you end up in the field, and it's just a passion that I think that Allah had given me, and I just it just developed more and more. So that's where I started, and ABA is affiliated more with autism because evidence has shown that anybody who does treatment with ABA of children with autism, they've shown a lot of improvement. But ABA can be used for any other kid or any other behavioral issues also.
So that's great. So but before we move on to behavioral issues, ladies and gentlemen, there's this one thing which just hit my mind, and that was that while Dr. Aiza was actually saying that the consultation can be done for assessment and whatnot. That's great. But are we only going to assess the child because of the fact that he or she is not getting good grades? I think that's so unfair.
That's unfair, and we're not going to assess the child for learning issues. But the problem here, specifically in Pakistan, is that we really don't care and we're not really bothered, because your school grades and your school performance is such a strong indicator of success that the parents are not really motivated. And I see a high level of depression in teenagers.
Yes.
And there's a lot of self-cutting in girls especially.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's a drastic increase in drug abuse in boys. So what is happening? Why are parents missing out the fact that the girl is always wearing a long sleeve dress? The minute the second you raise it, you will see marks, but you know, why aren't they observing those?
But can I add something to this? Please don't take me wrong, but this is actually a legit observation, and you will agree with me, Dr. Isa. You know, where you say that girls, okay, any child actually, not only girls, will have, you know, sort of attempts that they might cut themselves and whatnot. And if the parents find out, rather than, you know, thinking about, okay, maybe we're the reason, the first thing that they will say is this a love story going on? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Why can't parents actually, or any guardian sort of, you know, whoever is looking after the kids, have that sort of thought that maybe we were wrong, we wronged them?
Right. And right now, because you see, life has changed so much, and the nuclear family is everywhere, and people are becoming more and more aware of their own needs. So parental discord has increased. Now teenagers can't understand that discord is a part of life. And there's resolution also. So teenagers are getting really disturbed when they see their parents not able to solve problems, and then so it's just a blame game, and nobody realizes that it's so important that you sit and listen and talk to your children, and you resolve issues and you be there for each other. Like you said, family. End of the day, your family is what you have to take home or go home to, right? So your strong bonds actually sustain you through life. And right now I see the trend in youngsters, they don't want to marry, they don't want to have relationships. It's just temporary relationships.
Yeah, amen to that.
So it's a very, I think, real crisis for us as Pakistanis, for the new generation. So the emotional issue needs, I think, an emergency rescue, basically.
All right. Well, that's great, and I think that you've hit the nail on the head too as well. But there's more to it.
Okay.
Now let me move on to Ms. Jawahar over here as well, since you're an expert with kids who are living with autism as well. Now I think that the problem over here, the major problem over here in Pakistan, is that the parents do not want their kids to be labeled as autistic. They stay in denial. They want education to be inclusive, which I think is perfect. But then the pace of an autistic child to learn is way much more slower than the ones whom we see every day as well. So how do you think that we in the first place need to convince the parents that, you know, please realize that your kid is a special one and he really needs or she really needs a lot of attention, and that there needs to be people around him or her all of the time. But this is something which they do not want.
Right. So unfortunately, I'm going to build on what Dr. Isa said. Our family structures have changed. Unfortunately, you know, we don't have that family support that we used to have before. You know, we don't have that system, you know, that we used to have before of support. And there's a lot of denial that comes along with the family. So it's more of a stigma now. It was there before too, but, you know, with the support, you know, we were like trying to heal the family. And what is counseling? Counseling is when everybody used to sit before together and we used to hear each other out. Now nobody hears each other out, right? So it's the same that the patients in the school systems also have gone down. Like before, I remember when I was in school, I used to see people who were maybe they would be diagnosed as autism now, but they still had the patience of dealing with them in the school system. But now, if anybody is a little bit different, the schools are not going to deal with them, right? So I think that we need to build a society which is, you know, special needs friendly, autism friendly, and we need to do more awareness campaigns for parents. And I think when the community as a whole is going to be more accepting and we are going to go back to where we came from, I think we're going to become a better society as a whole, and we will be able to accept our kids. Our kids, as in kids with autism and special needs, as well as our schools will become better systems.
Right. And Jawahar, adding to that actually, you know, where you said acceptance is one of the major stages as well. It's not just the parents, it's not just the family members, the teachers as well in institutions which do not probably offer facilities for children with special needs. Now, if a student who is not really functioning, let's say normal, that we label as normal, and if they discuss the issue with their teachers or something, the first norm that comes up is he's probably an attention seeker. Drama kar rahi hai,
जी,
pata nahi
बिल्कुल.
kya, you know, things like
Right,
that.
right, right.
How can actually we get rid of that attitude? And that actually brings me to an example as well, a really unfortunate one, though this was probably 1 or 2 months back, Shazad. A teenager belonging to probably middle school, he didn't do his homework, and the teacher started, you know, just smashing the hell out of him.
Right.
And at one point in time, he literally could not breathe and asked the teacher to stop because he felt like he was going to pass out or something. And the teacher said, "Tum drama kar rahe ho," and he kept on hitting him, and the guy passed away at the exact spot. I mean, he had a cardiac arrest, and he just could not survive that beating. This is just insane. I cannot decipher what was happening over there.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you know, and this is a child who can talk.
Yeah. Important.
And our
so
kids
important.
don't talk. We have nonverbal kids. You know, our kids with autism. And again, we are not. This is all our therapy. This is all the therapy that we do. We teach them functional communication training. You know, this is a part of our therapy, and therapy is so important. And that's what the parents need to understand. If a child cannot even, like, you know, explain his emotions, if he's not able to communicate with us, and he's in that situation, you know, that's the worst part, and that's where we want to bring everybody on the same page, where we can, you know, we are mandated reporters of abuse and neglect, you know, where we can bring light on, you know, how to report physical and sexual abuse and neglect for our kids and for all the other kids also.
Exactly. Well, that's great, and we definitely want to get back to this as well. But ladies and gentlemen, I think that we've pretty much in this half of the show highlighted the problems and what the kids might go through. But when you guys will come back after the break, I think that what is more important is to actually ask, how do we actually assess whether a kid needs counseling for education or not? What are the systems which are available over here? What are the kind of test systems we have? Do you think that those test systems are 100% accurate, or the doctors can even go wrong on that too as well? I think that this is something which we need to discuss.
After a very short break, stay tuned. Good morning.
competition for polo will be the highest on the world's highest polo ground. Chandur invites visitors to experience a traditional polo tournament between the teams of Chitral and Gilgit. The tournament is held on Chandur Pass, the highest polo ground in the world, at 3,700 meters above sea level. The first time a polo tournament took place on the Chandur Pass was in 1936. It is a place unique and exotic in itself, surrounded by some of the most spectacular mountain scenery in the world. The event marks the annual rivalry between the teams of Chitral and Gilgit. The polo tournament has some added attractions for the visitors: trout fishing at the nearby streams and lakes, and a festival of folk dances and music of northern Pakistan. The event in itself offers a fascinating insight into the lifestyle of the people of this region. Their culture and indigenous customs are a delight to behold for the visitors. Crystal clear lakes, snow-covered mountains, alpine flowers, and vast stretches of green grass are added attractions. Fairs and festivals of Pakistan.
Welcome back to Well This Morning with the very energetic Shahzad Khan, ladies and gentlemen, and Shahzad Hashmi. And if you've been watching the show, you know that today we are talking about assessment in counselling, in education especially, and particularly education for all sorts of students, if they have special needs, even if they don't. Yep. And actually, we were really, shedding light on how the culture of our country is really far away from counselling, let alone
or
assessment
even assessment
in
for counselling and
that's
education.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, and ladies and gentlemen, before going towards the break, we kind of discussed different sorts of problems which the kids might experience, or the kids might experience because of the fact that their parents were not paying attention. So obviously everything comes down to education, good grades, but we're not of that sort. I am not of that brain mindset as well, where we just think about grades all the time as well. I mean, just today, I think my daughter wasn't very well and she had an exam. I was like, you do not have to go to the school. I mean, what's the point? I mean, you just relax. So whenever you're good, you're fit to go, whenever your kid's happy, I think that's the kind of pressure they will be handling then. But when they're sick, I don't think that the parents need to push them. But since we have covered all of that, now we want to move on towards solution. And, since we have the opportunity that Dr. Aiza Abid is over here with us as well. So we're just going to ask her, how do we assess a child? What are the methods of assessing a child, and are those methods like 100% apt, correct methods, or are we still? Is it still hit and trial? So let's get started.
Thank you. This is the most important part. We all know the issues and everything. So how do we go about it? The first thing is I would say it's the mother who knows that there's something wrong. So, and what is that wrong? It's when the child is not doing something which his or her sibling or cousins have not done, or not performing in class as per the rest of the class. So that's the first indicator. But if we go on a little technical side, it's the neurological development. Now, by the age of 7, the gross and fine motor skills of a child are developed, which basically means the ability to hold a pencil and to do fine motor tasks like threading or whatever. So they are all completed. So a 3-year-old child will not be able to write, it will not have this proper grip. The grips develop over time, like the reflexes develop over time. The first drawing feature is a circle, and that's around 3-4 years old. Then next comes the square, line, circle, square. So you remember in school we used to start writing by just lines and circles.
Joining dots.
Dots. Yeah. So basically that's how the mind develops. So neurologically the mind starts with a line.
Okay.
vertical line, then a horizontal line, then circles, then squares, then rectangle, diamonds.
I never knew this. Yeah.
Isn't it interesting?
Yeah.
Very interesting.
So by the age of 7, the development is complete, which means the child is running, catching, doing all sports, and then able to proceed. So that's why most of the countries now prefer to start formal education after the age of 7.
Oh, right.
Because then the children have caught up with all of those, and they are very comfortable and they have outgrown all the.
So by formal education, we means from grade 1.
Grade 1.
Yeah.
So they are basically learning to write. I think in the States they are using a pencil from 7-year onwards. And here what we are doing, the earlier we give a pencil and we are so proud. Oh, but actually we are forcing the child, and again forcing if the child is left-handed to move into the right hand,
exactly.
and that creates such a learning issue, you have no idea.
Yeah, why do we even tell them to change their hands?
Yeah, and I tell you what, I have a very different sort of tariqa of writing. I don't know how to hold a pen. I didn't know ever since. So whenever my dad used to teach me, oh my God, he used to hit me with the pencil in my head. Theek se pakro, theek se pakro. I couldn't never manage to do that, and even till date I hold the pen like that, and now he has no issue with that. He goes like, now you have a career, now you're graduated and everything. I don't care how you hold a pen. So why did you care back then?
Yes, and then we get so caught up in that moment that some things must be done in a particular way. So the neurological stage is once it's completed, and then the child moves on to other. So when I work with children, I am not into people come with me with a 5-year-old and a 6-year-old that this child has dyslexia. So I say, just wait, hold on. The child is too young to give any labels.
All right.
So let's just see what red flags are there.
All right.
Let's see what the child is not able to do, and let's work on those things and give the child a year or more so that we overcome those. So that's the neurological assessment.
No, but that does not answer my question. What I'm trying to ask over is, how do we assess the child? I mean, you've said that it's a square, it's a rectangle, it's a circle, that's fine. But once the child has started to go to school, and how do we identify first of all that he's or she's having issues, and then how do we assess them, and what kind of counseling methods are available for the kid so that they can improve?
Okay, so when they come to me, I first take a detailed interview. So for about an hour, I take a detailed history from the mother.
So what if the kid is like, and things like that, because the kids can not be very friendly at times.
So first we take the interview, and meanwhile I work. Then with the child, we develop a friendly relationship. So we give them different tasks, and usually the children, they know they are in a problem, and most of the time they are so happy that somebody's willing to listen to them. And the first thing I always tell the parents, look, he or she has to play 2 hours. So then they're like, oh, this is the best place to go. So I always encourage 2 hours of sport time, anything. Because when children play outdoors, when they jump, it's the brain development, the cerebellum. The brain has to develop in the physical way. So the 6th, 7th sense, the kinesthetic sense, which is very important to learning, that takes place. So children who are cooped up indoors in front of screens, they cannot develop their whole senses, and that increased on-screen time is actually leading a lot to autism. So yes, screen time is a real problem for the young children now. And the first thing we do now is say, stop this, remove the screen, because 1-year, 2-year-old kids are being given the mobiles and the screens.
Because it's a shortcut, no?
It's a shortcut. Yep, it's a babysitter.
It's hard for moms, Hey, he's not eating. Let's put the screen on. He'll start eating.
It helps so much. But Jawahar, my question to you is, while we are dealing with so many different kinds of students, and even if we put them through assessment, if we should further carry on or not, there's only so much you can do for a student if their parents and themselves are not willing to. There's certain boundaries sort of that you have to build and not cross them, even though if you yourself are aching to do that, you know what I mean? Of course, sometimes you carry on the empathy as well. And if that limit comes, you can't go beyond that. What do you do then? And also talk about secondary trauma too. But after this trailer, ladies and gentlemen, that we're going to play for you, there's a movie that you need to watch as well. This is very interesting. Let's take a look at the trailer, and then we come back. We'll discuss about it. It's called
The Peanut Butter Falcon. Let's do this.
Secondary trauma ka thoda sa.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, so that was the trailer from the movie The Peanut Butter Falcon. And meanwhile, you guys were actually watching the trailer. We were trying to find something very interesting for you too as well, which we wanted to share. But I think we're way short on time. But what Shiza actually asked, I think we'll proceed with that as well. So, Mr. Jawahar, please go ahead.
Sure. So what I would like to say is that, it's very important to push the parents that, therapy is very important for the kids. And the sooner they get the therapy, the better the kids their future will be. So their prognosis is going to be very future. So people do ask me that, is autism going to get worse with time? So I keep on telling them that it's not a progressive disorder. It's a disorder. It's a neurodevelopmental disorder. It stays the same, but if you do the right kind of therapeutical intervention, it gets better with time, and kids do become socially appropriate. So it's really important to get the right therapies at the right time. And it's good to develop a right kind of a system around the parents so that they feel supported, and a lot of awareness needs to be built for them so that they do feel comfortable in that.
So how do we make them aware?
By doing awareness campaigns, by making the schools aware of them, by making the families aware of them, by doing routine checkups with the pediatricians and making the pediatricians aware of the signs and symptoms of ASD, because I don't think a lot of our peds are trained in dealing with autism spectrum disorder and even how to diagnose it. So I think that's the first step. So that all starts from EI, which is early intervention. And for the secondary trauma that we talked about, I think that's such an important thing, because as a therapist, as a parent, as a caregiver, we all go through that. We have secondary trauma and staff burnout, which is that it transfers over to us, so we also have to take care of ourselves.
Of course, I think that's necessary too. When you're dealing with so many different kind of cases and situations, too, it does get to your head.
It does.
And then you have to clear your head before you deal with their issues as well, right?
I think that's the same with similar with psychologists and psychiatrists too as well. And the world over, I don't know, but people do say that since, and it's just a statement about psychiatrists, I don't know whether it's true or not, but people say that towards the end of their careers, even they get a little disturbed as well.
Yes, and we do go for our own counseling as well. And as I was saying, as Jawahar was saying, the doctors and the professionals, they are our first referral actually. They are the first ones who are to, they send the children to the psychologist. And so basically the process of denial and all that, what we do, when the parents come to me, I take several sessions. So first is the interview, second, then I explain the process, which is a test battery, and which includes a neurological, IQ, maybe further tests we do for autism, whatever the indication is. Now the whole process of 5-6 tests actually takes the parent step by step towards the realization, okay, this. And now you can't tell anyone, okay, you are doing this wrong, this. It's a process of self-reflection, which is very important for long-term healing. So when a parent is with me, we work through little things, little routine things, little routine questions, which gives them time to reflect then and later back in their home. And that's when they understand, okay, this is not how it is, and this is what I shouldn't be doing or what I should be doing. And that is the automatic, I think, support which they get. So over a month, when they continue to meet me, and after the detailed, these are standardized psychological tests. I've got them from abroad, and the whole purpose is that when you have standardized tests, and you make a huge long report which is very lengthy and time consuming. So now that report is your investment. It gives you a borderline level of where your child stands. And it's valid for many years actually. So that's how it's an investment. So then the school works on it, and if there's a diagnosis, then the specialist works on that, you see, and that's where we draw our therapies from. So I'm following an international pattern, and the support parents automatically get, and I'm always there for them. They come back to me after several years, and and there are many, I'm still in touch with many mothers, and they keep updating me about the progress of their child, and it's wonderful to hear when the children do so well. It's like, I have passed.
Exactly. I think it's very heartwarming as well. But then at the same time, since you've talked about the therapies, I think that I would definitely want to ask over here, what kind of therapeutic solutions are available for kids whom you do assess that, you know, there might be a little problem with them?
No, so we have a whole network. Whenever there's a diagnosis, so we have a remedial therapist. Some of them have been on your show many times.
Okay.
So in Islamabad, like Jawahar is for autistic and other, her setup is for the. So then we refer, and in fact we just suggest to the parents, okay, these are your choices, your options. Now it's up to you. So parents are usually willing and they're open because they've gone through the whole process for that. And at the end of the day, you know, parents deeply love their children.
Right.
Okay, yeah, that does make sense. But you know, all of this discussion actually, we have to realize, revolves around the urban kids that we're talking about, you know, the ones living in the cities and everything, who do have the facilities of going to schools and then, you know, going to the therapist and whatnot. But there is no way I can or any of us can actually differentiate between a kid belonging to whatever segment of the society. So what about the kids belonging to the rural segment whose parents, first of all, don't even know if there's anything such as, you know, autism and other things related to autism as well, and behavioral changes that one kid may be different than the other as well. How do we reach out to them? And also, Jawahar, we have to really mention over here, mashallah, you're going to be in meeting with the Human Rights, you know, Ministry as well, and you're going to work on something related to this. Let us know about it.
So, so here's the thing. We were doing a camp in Lahore with CLD, and we met a lot of kids that were coming in from the rural areas. Unfortunately, you know, we still are going through exorcism in many cities. We're still going through Jinn aa gaya hai. So it was very unfortunate to see the marks of, you know, the kids being still tied up to the beds because, you know, because the moms have to go and work. Unfortunately, I just think that we still need to reach out to those areas and we need to educate the parents. Not only educate the parents, but we should look into providing them the resources, like maybe something like a wraparound service where the parents don't have to choose between the money for food and the money for therapy or the money for transportation to even a free therapeutic center. So I think that's something we need to look into. And secondly, for the human rights, because the Ministry of Special Education has come under the Ministry of Human Rights. So I think it's just like a little, you know, a little something in the, you know, surface just to see if we can help out with policy making for inclusion and for special needs. So we do have a meeting today and we're going to see if we can help.
So best of luck for your meeting, and please make sure that you always look after for all of those kids you were talking about too as well. But thank you very much, Dr. Aizabe. Thank you very much, Mr. Var, for being with us. It was lovely to be in conversation, especially, ladies and gentlemen, when we talk about, I'm not going to say kids, but when we talk about people who cannot speak for themselves, I think it's quite wonderful. And the entire motive behind all of this is to raise awareness so that you can pretty much figure out if there's something wrong with your kid or not. And if there is, we do have solutions for that. So there's nothing to worry about. And
there is no issue, absolutely no stigma or issue attached to going to therapy, ladies and gentlemen. So if there's anything you need to write to us, write on a Facebook page with the name of
World This Morning on your TV screens.
On Twitter,
World This Morning with RDG.
You can find us on YouTube with the name of
World This Morning once again.
Yeah, and the repeat you can catch at
11 p.m. tonight. Till the next day, 1, 2, 3. Have a blessed week
morning.
ahead.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.